Welcome to Into the Pages, the podcast where we go through books and discuss our ideas. Today we're continuing The Shadow of What Was Lost, continuing with Davian and all of his friends and Asha and her craziness. Thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here. So tell us what you're feeling.
The story continues. I'm getting more used to James's writing style.
You're getting used to his writing?
Getting more used to his writing style. And I think, I don't know. I don't know how to explain what I'm feeling. But it feels like the story's finally, at least where I'm at. So today we're starting on chapter 12. I've read up through chapter 33. So I'm a little bit ahead of what we're covering on the podcast a little bit here. So the point where I'm at, things have kind of settled down a little bit. And there's kind of some breathing room, which I think was much needed. I think the pace that the characters were driving at just seemed a bit much and required kind of unbelievable situations to perfectly exactly line up in order for things to work out. Case in point, we left off last week where Davian and are trying to rescue some unknown person. And they're attacked, then they're saved, then they're attacked, then they're knocked out. And so it's kind of like this, what the heck is going on? And that's kind of where we're picking up. So we're like, who is this person that just saved them? And we meet Tyrus, however you say his name. And it turns out that he is the one who saved Davian all those years ago. And they thought he was executed, but he wasn't executed. And
He did escape.
Yeah, he escaped somehow, and now he lives in Desriel.
Which is so funny since that they're like, they hate the gifted the most.
Yeah.
But
like
that was a strategic move.
His reasoning was like, no one would think to look for me in the place where literally everyone freaking hates the gifted. And so now we have this other figure in the story, two other people in the story. We have this mysterious person. We don't know. We have to figure out his name is Caeden later on. We don't know. We found out that this Caeden dude was arrested because he's accused of slaughtering an entire village. But he has absolutely no memories of really who he is, what he's doing.
Which I can definitely see is like, oh, how convenient. Like, people might look at it that way.
Yeah, and then he kind of acts on instinct, like when he used essence to attack that creature. Like kind of seems like he's like, I don't even know what I did or how I did it, but I did it. And then Tyrus is there, and it all just kind of felt spoon-fed convenient to me. To be 100% honest, it just didn't really feel like ultra believable to me. Just in the situation they're at, like they're in the middle of the stinking woods, and yes, Tyrus later says that he was tracking Caeden, and like so he was already kind of there and kind of around. So I'm like, okay, like yeah, but like, okay, I don't know. Like it still didn't feel like. Why would Tyrus be tracking this dude? Doesn't make any sense to me.
I think he said why, but I don't remember what it was. Why he was following these guys.
Probably has something to do with the fact that, because everyone's saying that Caeden, the reason he's so dangerous is because he found a way around the first tenet, which is you can't harm or interfere with a non-gifted person using the essence. And it said that the village was killed with essence. And they're like, how is this possible? And also, Caeden doesn't have the normal tattoo of the tenets on his arm. He has the wolf one.
That's it. So he's not marked as like a gifted somehow.
Yeah, so it kind of seems like he's free from the tenets. And then we're kind of thrown into this whole other part of the story that kind of felt like a wrench, like kind of like a whiplash of like the story almost felt changed and different in a way that I didn't really fully enjoy. But
I
wonder if I'm being too critical, because they're going one way, they're like trying to figure things out, and they're like, oh yeah, we're finally going the right way, we're finally getting this thing, and then they're like, attack, and then they're in the city, they're in an inn, And they're waking up. They're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
What the freaking happened? And then Tyrus is like, I don't trust you, you stupid boys. Like, who the heck are you? What is this? And then they're like, and they find out that they've been lied to. That
Surprise, surprise.
That that it's possible to lie to Davian if you just know mental fortitudes. And so we find out that, what was his freaking name? Elder something.
Elseth.
Elseth lied to Davian for some reason to get him to go to Caeden, and then it's kind of like, how do you know that once you gave this to Caeden, his memories would come back and he was an assassin to kill you? And so they're like, what the crap's going on? And so now he's like, we need to go back to Andrus and go to Tolandra to restore Caeden's memories.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it feels like, whoosh. Like, okay, so they're not going to some secret society now, they're going back to Andrus.
Yeah. So I think that destroyed I thought they went to that they were going to go to the guy that was in the prelude, Tal something or other.
Talcamar or something, I think.
Talcamar, I think you're right. So I thought they were going to him, but now it sounds like maybe they're not. I don't think Caeden is Talcamar.
So, yeah. And now it feels like a whole new adventure. Now you kind of have two young boys and another young boy. This Caeden's about the same age as these guys. It kind of seems like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
And
He's a little bit
Tyrus,
older, right? Yeah, Tyrus.
Who's kind of taking lead of the group, and he's calling the decisions, and he's like, we can't just sneak across the border anymore. Like, that's not an option. But luckily, there's a big tournament, and there's a huge royal delegation from Andra in the capital of frickin', where are they? Desrael. And so now that's the new mission. They got to go to the city, and they got to find this thing. And so that's with them. And I think at this point, does it switch back to Asha for a second?
Actually, we skipped over. Chapter 12 starts with Asha.
Oh. I guess we can talk about Asha now.
Yes. Yes, Asha is just recovering from her encounter with the Watcher, and they've determined, that she was not the one who killed Jin. But now she's, locked up. And she's getting antsy and frustrated and crap. But then she is visited by, I don't know if he's the leader of this underground refuge for all the shadow people, or if he is just one who found it and created it or something. But I think he's the leader. So we meet Skyner. Or is it Skyner?
Here's the other thing. I don't know, and this is kind of part of why I'm kind of reconciling, and I'm kind of starting to understand maybe why James is writing the way that he is with this story. And I could be wrong, but I'm starting to get the impression that he's trying to put us in the shoes of the characters. None of the main characters really know what the crap is going on. Speaking mainly of Davian and Asha.
Yeah, definitely.
They're both in kind of situations where they're like, what the F is
happening? And I think actually,
and so like Asha's a perfect example of that, because she's going, and then she meets the council at Tolathian, and then they're like, we need your help to help solve these mysteries, and she's like, oh yeah, heck yeah. And now she discovers or gets introduced to this secret society of shadow people, and the Watcher kills someone, and it's instantly crazy madness, and then the leader of these people come and is like, I need you to spy for me. I want you to be part of the Duke's inner circle. And it's like, oh, okay. And then so then she's released back to that, and then it's like, it turns out that I guess not he's a Duke, the North Warden. And then it turns out, the North Warden's actually not that bad of a guy, and
I still don't trust him if you don't.
And it turns out he has 3 augurs that are working for him, and they're doing different things, and it turns out we now know that he's Wur's dad, and apparently after Wur became gifted, it softened his heart, and he's not so much of a jackass anymore who hates the gifted. And so he's convinces Asha to work for him, and that he's actually the one who has the righteous cause, and it's the shadows that are causing problems. And and the augurs kind of share a memory with her that shows the shadows massacring and the whole administration building of people in a crazy brutal way. And so now she's like, I'm going to work for you guys. And so it kind of just feels like...
Yeah, it definitely does have that jerky feeling, especially with Asha, I think. I feel that more with Asha. I feel, as the reader, still kind of I have no idea who is what. Like, they both convinced me that to be, like, good.
I think that is James's intent, but just the execution just kind of feels a little jarring to me. Because it almost feels more like he just had, like, a million ideas and couldn't narrow it down, and so trying to fit them all in a book in as few pages as possible. And so just the transitions just don't feel natural. The transitions don't feel like... okay, like believable. Because, I mean, Asha's smart. Like, she doesn't remember the last week of her life. But, I mean, she's been going to school for a long time. She's maybe like a small town girl, but, I mean, I don't know. She just seems to instantly trust and believe people and instantly want to be the spearhead of whatever political cause or conspiracy that is thrown at her. And I don't know. I can't tell if it's like the writing style I don't like or just the characters are being idiots. But
I mean, I think where we can expect the characters to be idiots because they're young and they just seem super naive. And, I mean, even though Davian and Ware have been through what they have in just like the last few weeks of when this book started, they seem still like they trust everyone they come across.
yeah, like instantly.
Yeah.
Like instantly.
And
I think the shock.
And you would think that since they found out Ilseth lied to him, they would think like, okay, we probably can't trust the one he sent us to. But they're like, I mean, right now they're super trusting him, which kind of makes sense because Caeden doesn't have his memories, or at least he's playing it off really well that he does not have his memories.
Yeah, and even Tyrus, he like proves to Davian that people can lie to him, but then they choose to trust him.
Yeah.
So I'm like, how do I know you're not the one lying to me and freaking Ilseth was telling the truth? Or
yeah, seriously.
But they're just like instantly like, oh yeah, man, like heck yeah, I believe you. Well, let's go.
Yeah, so I
let's
wonder
go the opposite way of what Ilseth said.
This almost seems like super. It's almost too convenient. It does kind of, when we talk about it, it does kind of feel like more like, oh, they're like, James is trying to really throw us off, where he's making all scenarios like, oh, this one looks good too. I believe that. Oh, I believe that one too. Oh, wait a minute, but now there's this one that I believe. Wait, there's now. It's like there's a ton that it is feels like it's going on, and whereas clueless as the characters right now, like,
but like in a bad way. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. Like again, I'll repeat what I said last episode. This is still a really good book. I'm still enjoying it, but it's just more things than I'm used to really are annoying me.
I think part of this is you do have a particular taste. Because I agree with the points you're making, but I think I'm okay with it more than you are. Yeah. If that makes sense. I mean, Brandon spoils us. That's what the problem is.
I wonder if that's all it is. It's like, oh my gosh. I've gotten the same way with movies though. Like freaking A, like I can't watch any movie anymore without just being like, I just wasted my life. Like, what the heck was that piece of garbage?
Just come out of a movie like, that's 2 hours. I'm never getting back.
And even like my old go-tos. Like
really? Even the old movies?
Even like the old movies I loved growing up, and like the TV shows I've watched for years, even those are starting to be like, I freaking hate this. And then like people keep doing like with movies and TV shows, they keep rehashing things and remaking things rather than doing new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, do new stuff.
I don't know if people are just getting lazy or if
I hate
they just don't know how to come with something.
They're doing like the live action of Airbender, which I really liked Avatar: The Last Airbender, like watching the cartoon. I guess it's considered an anime. It's like a cartoon anime.
It's like an American anime or something.
Yeah. I liked that. But now they're like doing like a live action remake of the series, and I'm like, ugh.
Right? I feel the same way. Every once in a while we get a gem, it seems like, but it's pretty rare.
More rare.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
people are more interested in making a quick buck or something than
something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but so that's basically. It's kind of hard to like define how I'm feeling. I don't think I'm doing like a very good job of it, but it's like I like the story, I like the book, but I just don't like the pacing. Maybe that's all it is. I don't like the pacing. I think if you're going to do an all-out, fast-paced, insane action, you need to save that for the end of the book, like the last 200 pages.
Yeah.
And then have everything else build up to that moment. That's so much more enjoyable for me than something that's like, don't get me wrong, like this book like grabbed me and was like, what the flip and flap is going on?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, what is this world? And then, like, but like that just nonstop constantly. And then, like, when you have that quick of a pace, if you don't have the setup, because, if you have the setup and they're, like, going through, like, one through one, but then you're like, oh, man, oh, yeah, like, this character, I remember Tyrus, yeah, he was, like, in this part of the book, and now he's coming through, holy crap. Whereas when it's, like, you just introduce him out of your butt crack, and you're like, who the frick is this guy? Like, oh, he's the savior. Okay, yeah,
You just don't buy nothing.
And it makes dramatic reveals less impactful.
Yeah.
You know? Or like, Ilseth is a liar, and I'm like, okay, next.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think if we would have went through that with Davian, like him getting attacked, and then, do you call him Tyrus? Tyrus?
I don't know. It's one of those names where I like see the name in the book and move on.
Yeah, like,
like I don't know.
okay, next year coming here, and then I'm gonna say I think it's Tyrus. I need to see the name too, but I don't have it in front of me.
It's like Taeris.
Yeah, that's why I think it's Tyrus. Anyway,
Tyrus. Yeah.
I hope that's right.
You're probably right.
You can comment below if you think it's something else, but if you
comment, just kidding.
But if you comment, we're not going
to what you say.
We're not going to be able to understand what you write any better than what James wrote. So. Anyway, I think it would have been way more impactful if, like, we were with Davian when he got attacked and then he almost dies, but then Tyrus is like, oh, and then you go through the whole Mason thing, like the whole emotional thing where, like, oh my, he saved me, I'm freaking alive, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, they're gonna kill him. He's gonna be executed. He's been executed. You're like that would bring you through a whole more ray of emotion, and I think get you way more attached to like Tyrus and Davian.
Yeah, because we at least know who Tyrus is, but I think also what would have made it impactful is if Davian had actually reached where Ilseth wanted him to go, and then discovered something there. Like imagine if Eragon had made it to the Varden. And then he's like with the Varden, and he's getting to know them, and he's like making the dwarf friends and getting to know the leaders. And then all of a sudden Murtagh is like, dude, these people are whack, like they're not good people. And you're like, what, really? Like, are you sure? Like, I mean, I came all this way, like my augur powers told me it was true, they're so nice, like doing all these things. Like that would be more like wow, okay, that would be like more impactful. And like more like it would add more attention to like who is this guy, like Tyrus Yaggy's like dead, like is it really him, is it like something else? But like when you just come out of the forest and knock them out, take them to an inn, and then within an hour or two convince them that they've been totally deceived, that you're the one who's right, and that they need to completely change course and trust you implicitly and completely.
Yeah,
it's just,
I wonder if things would have been,
that's like beyond a naive character. That's just a straight up idiot.
I wonder if that's like purposeful as well, because think of Davian's life. Does he really have experience at all? He's been at this school for his entire life, been virtually locked up his entire life. Like, you just don't learn stuff. So I wonder if he is just beyond naive because of that. And so maybe James is such a good writer. He's
then what's Wur's excuse?
He's stupid.
Literally, what's Wur's excuse? We find out that he is freaking third in line for the throne.
He's probably had a lot of education.
He grew up with political training. He like understands politics. He understands subterfuge. But even he is like, yeah, hell yeah. Like, this guy's 100% like, let's do what he says.
He has blind loyalty to Davian.
So I'm like, my gosh. But, and I think it's taken to a point that, like, yeah, they're sheltered. Yeah, they're naive to the way of life. And, like, yeah, they're freaking out. And so if they meet someone with authority, they'll like, kind of believe them. But why does it have to be so quick? Why does it have to be, like, you wake up in a room with the shackle on and a stranger's, like, robbed you and demanding that you believe everything he says? Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, there's, like, a point that I feel like you would be like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being, like, too removed from the situation. I don't know. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of believe that. Like, two country bumpkins are in, like, way the heck over their head. They have no idea what's going on. The instructions from Ilseth were, like, freaking vague. Like, go
vague
north.
To the max.
Go north and you'll know it when you're there. And then they meet someone that's like, no, he's lying. Like, I can see why that would be believable. It's like, yeah, because he's been like wandering north and then find this weird dude. And then I know you because you saved my life. It's like, there's like kind of a connection there. And so it's like kind of believable. But again, I think it's just, I said this before, I think it's just the pacing of that's made it hard for me to swallow.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've talked a lot about that. Back to the story. We're kind of.
So there was something I wanted to mention that I thought was interesting because we're going to go back to Asha. Talking to, what do you think it is, Skyner or Signer? I think it's supposed to be Signer.
I don't know.
I'm going to go Signer.
I'm one of those readers that like I see a name that's weird and I'm just like, I just see the name and I'm like,
I literally was like that until we started this podcast, and then I was like, I should try to like figure out what the frick name is. Anyway, she's talking to him about, the Watcher, and he calls him Aelrith. I thought it was interesting just to, he got a name. We can watch out for him.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we forgot to mention that's actually really important. While they are in the inn room,
they're attacked by Aelrith.
Davian, they are attacked by the Watcher, and Caeden kills him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because we find out that he's what's called a Shoteth.
Shoteth.
Shoteth, which is basically a supernatural assassin that was created by Essence and was created in such a way that they're obligated to obey certain command phrases, which Tyrus tries to do. He tries to give the command phrase, and the thing's kind of like,
yeah, he can speak like they mentioned through Davian's perspective when they were attacked by the Watcher after getting Caeden, that it said something unintelligible. Or not really unintelligible, different language.
This is another part. I forgot to mention this, and this is all flooding back to me now. But when in the woods, when the thing was coming at them, like it had just killed the soldiers and was walking towards them, but it didn't really seem overtly aggressive to me. It didn't seem like it was actively trying to kill them. And it could have been like, at first I was like, okay, maybe it's just like being so relaxed and arrogant that it doesn't even care. But then even in the inn, when they're in that room, like things are kind of going fast, but at the same time, it's like, it kind of mocks Tyrus a little bit. But then it doesn't also like kind of talk to Davian a little bit, like it says a few things to Davian. And then before it even does anything, before it even reacts or does anything, Caeden kills it.
I think so, because I do remember that Davian was like still conscious at the moment, and the Watcher said something in a different language he didn't know. So I don't remember if he said it to Davian or was just saying it. I think he was talking to Davian, maybe like.
I think he even said his name. He was like, something Davian. And then he was like, what the heck? And then Caeden kills him. And so that still remains the mystery of me. It's like, okay. Because then Tyrus is like, see?
So if you're talking about the end part, I don't think he said anything to Davian. Or he just said something to Tyrus. Because I think Tyrus tried to like give the Shoteth guy, the Watcher, a command, and then that's when the Shoteth replied like, "Oh, we're no longer following," or something like that.
Yeah, but is that really what he said? I don't know. And I'm still suspicious of like, was that thing sent to kill them, or was that thing sent to kill Tyrus because he's the real bad guy and save Davian?
Yeah, the part that I'm remembering is like Tyrus yells whatever command to the Shoteth, and the Shoteth responds to him, and then later in like the next chapter, it's like, what did it say to you? And it's like the Shoteth no longer follow.
Yeah, but was it like actively trying to kill them when Caeden kills it? Or was it just kind of like hanging out?
It wasn't hanging out, no, it was attacking him. It like blew the wall out or whatever, or the door open or something.
Yeah, but was it like actively trying to kill them? I don't remember if it was or not.
Yes. That's what I remember. It was like they tried to do something. Like they tried to like, I think War used his essence, and it was like didn't do anything to it or something like that, and they were fighting, and that's when Caeden slapped the shackle on his neck.
Okay, maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly. Anyway,
that's what we need notes.
I'm still not convinced that Tyrus is 100% a good guy.
I'm not either, because what this book has kind of done for me is I feel like the people who the boy cried wolf to, like everyone's a liar and no one's a liar. So I'm like, okay, I just don't trust anyone.
Seriously.
So yeah, chapter 12 is just where Asha talks to the Shadrahian.
And she agrees to be a spy. It turns out if you say that to Asha, I'll let you help with the investigation on Davian and Word's death, she'll believe any dang thing you say.
Seriously.
Because that's what the council said, and she was like, heck yeah. And then that's what the Shadrahian said, and she's like, heck yeah. And that's what the North Warden says, and she's like, heck yeah. North Warden's more convincing than the other ones, but...
One thing I think we should mention in chapter whatever. I'm looking at chapter 13 now. They're still talking. This is before the the Watcher attacks, and they're talking about the tattoo that Caeden has, and that was on the vessel, and it's apparently it's a symbol that it's the symbol of Tar Anah, whatever that is, and it's a symbol that's found all across the boundary. So I think it's gonna be important in the future, perhaps. Like maybe this symbol can help like guide them and find them clues and crap. All that fun stuff. Yeah, so in chapter 15, that's where we learn that the Watcher is what is called a Shoteth. That's when Caeden... Oh, I totally forgot about that, but it wasn't Tyrus who said what the Watcher said. It was Caeden who translated for everyone, for Davian and Were, once there was a quiet moment. So it's like, that's one thing that's kind of like makes me super suspicious of Caeden, is like he just pulls all this information out of the thin air. And it's like, okay, I kind of buy that you don't have your memories, but it sounds like you're not just some rando dude. Like you're very knowledgeable, and which can make you a dangerous something or other if.
Especially for his apparently young age. So it seems like he's not who he's saying he is.
Yeah.
And who knows if he actually has no memory or not. At least at this point.
It's like, who can you even freaking trust? And I love that there was one part that I really liked, because it goes back to all those episodes ago we talked about, like, it's really interesting to have those chapters where you learn about like the history and such, and where things are of the world. But Tyrus has a scale from a Dargathian, which is a mixture of a snake and a man, which sounds super intense. And this scale that he has is also crazy. It's like mega sharp. I think like Davian like was holding it and like dropped it, and it falling like cut off all the grass. It's insane.
Yeah, it like absorbs essence and like kills stuff around it.
And I think, if I remember right, Tyrus is hoping to use this scale as like proof, like, look what I have. This is from the Dargathian. So this is proof the boundary's falling. Like he's hoping to use it to convince somebody who can do something about this, that the boundary is falling. They're soon going to be attacked by all these crazy creatures.
Yeah, I think it's in these next few chapters. I don't know if it's in chapter 15, but they make it to the capital of Desriel, and because they were trying to get in a hold of the royal delegation. And apparently there's used to be like during the Unseen War, they call it, which is when North Warden and them were initially fighting against the Gifted. The Gifted that were being persecuted at the time came with like a secret, almost like a underground passageway code, that if you said certain phrases to another Gifted, they would help you, or they would almost feel obligated to help you. So like that's Tyrus's plan to get in with the royal delegation.
Right.
But it turns out the person that's there when they give the secret message to him is someone that does not like Tyrus at all. And it's kind of like, screw you. Like, I don't even care about you. And then the stinking princess herself like walks in the middle of their conversation and is like, the F is going on here?
Yes.
And then she sees Wur, and then it's like, we already mentioned that we already know that Royer's royalty, but this is when we actually find out, because turns out they're cousins, and they go out and they kind of talk, and she's like, where the heck have you been? And he's like, yeah, I'm gifted, bitch. And like, they secreted me away. Actually, I think she already knew. Did she already know?
I don't remember. There was a lot of stuff he shared with her. I don't remember if that was one thing she didn't know.
I think she might have already known, but we basically figured out the plan that everyone in court believes that the North Warden's son is like gone, almost like sent away to finishing school, where he's going to go learn some battle tactics and stuff.
And apparently,
And
when he was talking to his cousin, aka the princess, apparently his time is running short because he's supposed to be returning from that.
yeah,
But
and no one knows where he is right now currently because they're freaking out. And we also realize some important facts here is we find out that the tenants can be modified.
oh
But
yes,
in order to do that, it has to be someone of the royal bloodline and someone who is gifted agreeing on something. And then we find out that Wur is both. So by himself, he can modify the tenants.
yes,
And so that's why, and he thinks it's kind of alluded to by the North Warden and by Wur that's why the schools are being attacked, because someone is looking for Wur. And they know he's in a school, but not which school, and so they're attacking all of them.
yes. We do learn also that right now we'll eventually be able to modify the tenants, but
Not until his father dies.
not until his father dies. Yeah.
He has to inherit his father's title, essentially.
So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because right now I'm sure Wur is trustable, but I don't know about his dad, and I still don't agree with what Wur was talking about with the tenants before.
Yeah. Tyrus agrees with him, though, because there's a point where Tyrus kind of forces him to be honest with them, and then Tyrus is kind of like, where it kind of explains his thoughts, and Tyrus is like, yeah. It kind of makes sense not to abolish them completely, but definitely amend them. So we'll see what happens with that. I wonder if that's going to be addressed in later books or in this book.
Yeah.
Like maybe the North Warden's going to die, and then all of a sudden Wur's going to be forced into something, or maybe something bigger is going to happen. Because I don't know if we learned about in these chapters, but there's been beginnings of the rumor of an invading army. And so something going to happen with that, where they're going to have to amend it so the gifted can fight.
Yeah, that would be interesting, because I could see that happening if, I would imagine the boundary's going to fall, and they're going to have to figure out how to deal with all the crazy creatures, and maybe get the boundary back up or wipe out everything or something. That they're going to be like, oh, the gifted, oh, help us. And, they're like, we're super hateful.
Yeah. And so the plan is hatched that to escape Desriel, they're going to go to this cursed city, which also felt like really convenient. They're like, we can't get across the border. Oh, but there's a really cursed city that we can get through because no one will go through it. And also on there, they pick up one of Tyrus's old allies, Nihim.
Oh, yes.
He also kind of helped them get
right.
in touch with the royal delegation, but he joins them in their journey, which we find out why a little later, which I'm not sure if that's where you've gotten to.
They've met up with him in this, across the bridge and such.
So they're in the city?
Yes.
But they haven't gotten through yet.
I don't think so. They had another run-in with the Watcher. No, it was one of the others shot death, the female, because the Watcher's dead. I forgot.
So we got the fight between Caeden and Alaric. So the person that
Yes.
There's two people that are going to accompany our band of married travelers from the princess's people, and it is a sword champion and his sister, like a sword fighting champion and his sister. The sword fighting champion is like super racist, doesn't like gifted at all, and is like really cranky.
Yeah,
and has a crush on the princess, like a forbidden love. And he's kind of like on the journey. He's kind of pushing Wur around. He's like, "You freaking idiot! Like, I freaking like fight me." And Caeden's like, "I'll fight you," and everyone's like, "No, don't do it. He's a champion." And Caeden like easily whoops his butt.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, what's going on with this dude?
Seriously.
And they even asked him, they're like, "How'd you do that?" He's like, "I don't know. I just like did it."
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like he is so powerful with essence, or I assume he uses essence, and he's like able to scare the Watcher off. And even like, I don't know if you heard it when they first encountered him after they saved him, but he's super strong. He doesn't have the tattoo the gifted have, and now he's apparently a dang master with us. What is this freaking guy?
Yes.
And if he is as young as he is, like, I wonder if he is actually a lot older than they think he is. He just looks young still, or some crazy. I don't know. Caeden is a mystery that I want to be solved. Dang it.
Yes. But the city they come to, apparently blocks or absorbs essence, and so that's why the Watchers or the Shoteth won't go in, because they're essentially made of essence and feed off essence. So if they go in a city that blocks it, then they'll die.
Yeah. I think that's why shackles kill them, because the shackles will block essence, so they
Yeah, I
literally
think that's
are
what they
blocked
kinda
from
say
their
too.
life
Yeah.
force.
Yeah, so they enter a city.
Do we say the name of the city?
I don't remember what it's called.
Delianis?
Okay.
Delianis. Okay. And like after, I don't remember the exact timeline events, but I think at this point, does Nahim show up before or after Caeden's duel with Aelric?
So they're all there, but Tyrus and Nihim kind of wander off when they set camp to kind of have a private conversation. Davian follows them to eavesdrop, and we learn some interesting things.
Yes.
And then it's when they're almost they're gone that Caeden and Aelric fight.
Right. Oh, so it kind of goes back and forth, but it's at the same time.
Yeah, 'cause it switches to Wur's perspective.
Yeah.
But basically, we learned that from Nihimi, I don't know, that he apparently owes Tyrus like some huge favor. Like Tyrus like did something really big for him, and now he's like, I have to come. If not for that, we don't really know exactly why yet. He's so insistent on coming, but Tyrus is kind of like, no, don't do it. And he's like, yes, I'm gonna come. I'm like, you can't stop me. He's like, I'm an old man. Like, I don't even give a shit.
I was kind of confused and curious about one thing that Nahim talks about, where he mentions like, he's had 20 years to resolve himself to it.
I don't think they say. I think it's just like they're talking about something they know, but
It's
obviously
like
we and
okay,
and David have no idea
but
what they're talking about.
he said he had 20 years of knowing I couldn't die. Like, what does that even mean? Does he like, did he have a limited time of immortality for something, or?
I know, but because I read ahead a little bit.
Well, stay tuned. We'll talk about it.
But this is what I was kind of talking about, where the pace is kind of slowed down a little bit. These last few chapters that we're covering now.
Yeah.
There's kind of them on the road. We get a little bit of character development. It's not like anything super grand. We're in Aelric's sister are kind of flirting, kind of getting cozy, and that's one of the reasons why Aelric wanted to fight Wur. He's kind of like, back off from my sister, and then it's kind of like going with that, and then
Oh yeah, it was the whole thing like he at first wanted to fight Wur, but then Caeden was like, I'll do it. And I think the last chapter, the chapter we're going to end on, chapter 22, this is where we end on Asha's perspective, and she's like, we go through some visions of the augurs that she's now helping out with the North Warden and stuff, and
kind of get an idea of what they're like, and
yeah.
And we learn more about her position. So she's a scribe, which seems mundane, but it's actually really important because all the augurs individually and independently tell her any visions they have.
And it's like
and they don't talk amongst themselves about it. And so she then is able to compile them and say, look, all these visions are the same. So this vision is what's true, is what's going to happen. So they're not just 100% going off of what one augur says.
Yeah, I don't remember the reason either, but yeah, for some reason they don't want to see each other's visions and stuff.
Yeah, because I don't think they want to they don't want there to be any collusion. They're like, let's both say that we had a vision that the usher should have sex with us.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't put it past them. Who even knows?
No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's a general idea. I think it's just a check that was put in place, maybe because they realized that augurs had a little bit too much power. It specifically, I think, arose because not only because of, but in large part because many years ago, like however many hundreds or thousands of years ago, when the boundary was first put up, there was an augur of the time that had a vision of the boundary failing and people coming and invading and slaughtering everyone. And so they were really vigilant. They built fortresses and they checked it, but then nothing happened for hundreds of years. And so they're like, okay, that guy was obviously kooky dudes. I had no idea what the frick he was talking about. And so I think it was part of that, and also part of just wanting to make sure everything was on the up and up, that the scribe position was created. And then Asha also gets appointed as the representative's assistant, essentially, for the gap between administration and the gifted. which is like a super prestigious position for a shadow.
Yeah. And the whole
So-
deal was they're just trying to make sure that she can communicate with everyone without being like, why is she talking to her? What's going on there?
Yeah. So she's
Trying to avoid suspicion.
Yeah. So kind of it's in this interesting position where the Shadrahan is like, you need to spy on the North Warden for us, and then the North Warden's like, you're on my team now. Like, let's just ignore the Shadrahan. But the Shadrahan has like agents that the Shadows like that she has to report to and like tell stuff to, and so see how she.
Yeah, and I think it's in
that.
this chapter 22 where the Shadrahan actually sends one of the other shadows to like, here's the instructions on how you can contact and communicate, and she not only like burns the piece of paper that they have the instructions on, but she even like tells Aaron, I think, like, oh, I just burned the instructions the Shadrahan gave me to contact him. And
Yeah.
so like we may not be so sure if we should trust the North Warden and his augurs or the Shadrahan and all the shadows.
But
she's all in with the North Warden now.
Yeah, she's like, heck yeah, we're buddies.
I mean, she didn't even like. She hesitated a little bit, but then she was pretty quick to then fess up to Aaron, like, "Oh, the Shadrahan just tried to communicate or contact me."
Can't lie to an augur. Well, they all have specialties. It turns out we'll learn more about that in later chapters, but
yeah. And this chapter ends with Michael. Mikal? This is one thing that's hard about epic fantasies. Is there's so many names you're like, who? Wait, what? But I don't remember who Michael was. But he gives Asher some news that there's an unknown army that's been spotted. So now she's like, the Augurs are right. We're gonna get attacked. And that was it.
Boom, boom.
Yep, exactly. Classic. Stopping in the middle of. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know if you've read far enough, but I haven't to know what's gonna happen.
I know what's gonna happen. I'm right up to chapter 33.
Well, you can suck on chapter 33.
So yeah,
I myself enjoy this book, even though it's a little weird. It feels a little weird with its jerking you around a little bit, and I've read plenty of books where there's been deception, but like this is almost like a different level of deception. So I think there's 2 or 3 people that I trust. That's Asha, Davian, and Wer, but that's about it.
yeah.
I don't know who the heck else to maybe trust.
Yeah, seriously.
I would love it if like we can trust the North Warden. That'd be super awesome to have him on like our side, if you can call it our side or the good guy's side, whatever the heck that is. I also think it'd be sweet if if Caeden is not like some antagonist, that he's gonna help everyone out, because I mean he seems like he would be the guy to take out all the other baddies. Yeah. Especially if they're going to be fighting all the nasties on the other side of the boundary. Like, Caeden would be super awesome to have around, because thus far, Davian can, like, not defend himself hardly. Maybe you can say he got lucky with those hunters, the seekers, when he stabbed the one guy. But if he had to actually do one-on-one combat with someone who's experienced, I don't know how he would do, let alone one-on-one combat or being attacked by a group of creatures from the boundary. Who knows how he would be able to defend himself.
At this point, probably not much, unless instincts only get you so far. But
it'd be super cool if we get far enough and see that, like, maybe he'll get trained. Maybe he'll go through Summit. Maybe they'll find like a nice place that they can kind of slow down and sit around, and they don't got to really worry too much about an imminent threat.
Because he needs another augur to train him.
Yeah.
Everyone he's with doesn't know how to train him.
He's with an augur? Or is Caeden an augur? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying he needs another augur, and no one with them is an augur.
Oh, no one with him is an augur. Yes, I agree. I wonder, that'd be probably pretty handy if they all meet up with like the North Warden and the other augurs can help out Davian.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we hope you guys are enjoying this book. You have to let us know if you read it, what you thought about it, all that fun stuff. Until then, until the next time. Next week we'll jump into chapter 23 and move on.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
it's over.